All right, y'all. Well, here it is. I've been hearing a lot in the news, in the media about Charlie Kirk being a racist. So I took it upon myself to do a little bit of research, which I tell everybody to do anyways. And my friend, Pastor John Amanchukwu, I saw him post some things, and this is a black man, a strong black man, pro-black man. I mean, he loves white people too, but I'm saying he's all about black empowerment, and he comes from a black Pentecostal church, a Church of God in Christ. Everything about him says that he's a black man, and a strong black man, and a big black man if you've ever seen him. I just had him recently here in Pittsburgh, and he spoke at our gala. And I want you to see a little bit more of this, because a lot of people say a lot of things about being racist, but we want to talk about that. Was Charlie Kirk racist? All that and more coming up here on Dimensions. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy back here once again. I'm Anthony Gilbert. I'm so glad that you have tuned into another episode of Dimensions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to be with you all at this very hour, at this moment. And it's an honor and a privilege that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come hang out with me here for 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, at the very least, 30 minutes at 8:30 p.m. each and every day, bringing you current events, bringing to you what I believe thus saith the Lord, prophetic insight. There's a whole lot more that's coming as well, but these things are very, very important. And I want to speak to these things that are happening in the prophetic now. And so, listen, I want you to tune in whenever you can. And listen, if you have not downloaded the Dimensions podcast, you need to go wherever podcasts are held, download it. I want to thank everybody that's been going there and doing that. People have been downloading the podcast. We've got so many episodes that are on there talking about so many different events, talking about the end times. There's so much for you to get. And listen, you can listen to this in your car. You can listen to it when you're working out. You can listen to it in the morning, in the evening, wherever you go. If you will download the Dimensions podcast, you too can become the latest member of the Dimensions family, and Dimensions will be with you wherever you go. And lastly, I want to make sure y'all take a moment to like, subscribe, follow, share. Take a minute right now, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you are, take a minute and help me get this out. I believe this is really going to be a blessing to people. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to understand something. I am a black man, but I am mixed. So I'm white and black. So listen, you can't call me a racist because my mother was white, my dad was black, and I'm everything in between. I always have this little joke, when I was growing up, I wasn't black enough to be a true brother because I grew up like in the mid 80s, early 90s. That's kind of my era. And I wasn't white enough to hang with the white people. I have experienced racism. I have been in a place where I was discriminated against. My family has been discriminated against. I've had family members called the N-word. I've had all those things. I know what racism looks like. And I'm not one that's shying away from it. I have nothing to gain, but I want to find out if somebody's racist. I'm going to call it out and call it what it is. And I have had the opportunity to meet and know people that are racist. I have dated people in my past whose parents were racist. I have had friends that like me, but their parents didn't like black people. I know what it's like. I have been in situations where I've heard people calling us the N-word in public. I have been in those scenarios. Trust me. I know about racism. I know about discrimination. I understand all of those things, but I also know what it's like to see somebody that is speaking truth, but yet and still is not a racist. And I want to do something real quickly because a lot of people say, well, they're a racist or they're a white supremacist. I want to bring up here the first definition of racist. I want you to take a look at this here, just so everybody kind of understands what a racist is. What exactly is a racist? A racist is a person who is prejudiced against or antagonistic towards people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. So a person that is prejudiced against, antagonistic towards people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group. Now, listen, Dr. Martin Luther King said something very powerful. And this is the reason why I'm not a fan of DEI. A lot of people may say, are you a fan of DEI? I'm all about Black people getting jobs. I'm all about Black people getting their fair share. I'm all about Black people getting whatever it is that they need to get. I'm all about, I don't want to be discriminated against either. I want to be able to, if I'm the best man for the job, give me the job. Has nothing to do with color. I believe that DEI kind of reverse racisms. And that's basically what it does. It brings it back to where now, and don't get me wrong, I'm saying I believe that Black people should have jobs. I believe that there are a lot of jobs where Black people need to have. I think I look at professional sports and I think there need to be more Black owners. I believe there needs to be more Black head coaches. I believe that. I see that. But yet and still, DEI is a dangerous thing because one of the things you have to remember is you can never legislate racism. Racism is a matter of the heart. People will find a way around it. And then it just creates all sorts of craziness and things along that line. So that's the reason why I'm not a big fan of that, but I am a fan of people, Black individuals, African Americans, Hispanics, Chinese, Asian. It doesn't matter where you are. I believe in equality for all. I believe that with all of my heart, but I don't believe you can legislate race. You just can't do it. There's no way, because then eventually you have to show favor to other people. When does that come to an end? When do we get back to where things are merit-based? And so I'm a big fan of people earning it. And then you have to deal with things on a case-by-case scenario. It's just that simple. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I come from both sides. I have a white mother. I had a white mother. She passed away. God bless her. And my father is still alive. He's a Black man. And is racism out there? Without a doubt. But I do believe this. Will you encounter racism sometimes? Of course. It's still out there. But let me tell you this. You can make it. You may have to deal with some things. You may have to jump some hurdles. You may have to deal with some folks. But there's no reason why in America you can't eventually become a success. You will be able to get there. You may have to fight some things. You have to deal with some things, but I do not believe you can legislate race issues, because this is the reality. I believe the only thing that can help racism is the gospel of Jesus Christ. There has to be a conversion of the heart. Racism is simply a matter of the heart. It's simply judging people and doing for people based upon skin tone. Nothing to do with merit. And what did Dr. Martin Luther King say? He said something very profound that we have to remember, and this works for everybody. The problem was at that time, it was only African Americans that were battling. White people didn't have this issue. They didn't have this issue. They have never had this issue. And so the reality is, he said that men would be judged by the color of their skin, not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That men would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I believe in every area, whether it's dealing with a job, whether it's dealing with sports, whether it's dealing with any area, even dealing with women. It should have nothing to do with sex. It should have nothing to do with color. It has to do with the content. Content is the key. The content of their character, the content of who they are as an individual. You know, the reality is there are white people that are racist. There are Black people that are racist. I mean, it goes both, it spans the aisle. I mean, they're both ways. So the reality is, what do we do with all of this? We have to get back to the cross. We have to get back to the blood. The Bible says that Jesus Christ made everybody one, Jew and Greek, Gentile or Jew and Greek, those that were bond, those that were free. Christ is one and made all in all, made one new man. So we need to know people by the content of their character. Now, people will say to me, yeah, but there are people out there that are racist. Of course there are. Of course there are, but that doesn't mean that racism can't be dealt with nowadays. And it's not the reason why. I don't believe that's the primary reason why people can't succeed in this day and hour. You had a Black man that was in the most powerful office in the world, or President Barack Obama. You had a Black woman in the second most powerful office of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, if racism was going to stop anybody, there's no way that those people could have taken those offices. Is there racism out there? I'm going to say that over and over. Of course there is, but you can still make it. Black people can still make it. May there be some extra hurdles? There might be. But you know what? If Jackie Robinson could defeat it, if Dr. Martin Luther King could march, if wherever it is that you are, that you've dealt with it, if they all still continue to struggle and press forward, then we can still do that as well. And we have to continue to keep pressing on. So I wanted to mention those two things, though. Bring up the definition for racism again, because I want you to see this. A person who is prejudiced against or antagonistic toward people on the basis of their membership in a particular race. So basically, a racist is a person That doesn't matter what their content is. I don't like you because you're black. I don't like you because you're Hispanic. I don't like you because you are a woman. Now that's not a race, but it's based upon the class of the people, that whether their color, their racial ethnicity, whatever it is. So as a result, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to see beyond that. I'm only going to see that. And then you take a look at white supremacy. He's been called a white supremacist. So let's take a look at that definition as well. What's a white supremacist? The belief that white people constitute a superior race and should therefore dominate society, typically to the exclusion or detriment of other racial and ethnic groups. So believing that white people are better than everyone else, and black people, Hispanics, anyone else is lower than them. I have looked at Charlie Kirk. I have watched his videos. I have seen his things. Is he critical of people that are not there? Is he straightforward? Without a doubt, but not based upon color, based upon his looking at who they are. He is what you would call a realist. He's somebody that's going to tell you exactly what he sees, and it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't. He gets on white people. He gets on black people. He gets wherever the issue is. He gets on them and says this is the answer and the solution. And he doesn't mince words. So a lot of times people think, well, he doesn't like women. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like that. He's a racist. He's a white supremacist. Look at the definition and see how he's doing that. And the reason why I'm saying that, he brings a man who I know personally named Pastor John Amanchukwu. And I'm pulling this from actually Pastor John's YouTube page. So those of you that know Pastor John need to go check him out. Phenomenal man of God. I know him personally. He is outstanding. And he has known Charlie Kirk personally. Matter of fact, he accredits Charlie Kirk to his success. He will say on his YouTube page, you can watch the whole thing. I'm going to show you a couple of clips here in just a minute, but he will talk about how Charlie brought him on and how gave him his platform, endorsed a book called Hoodwinked. And he reads the foreword that Charlie, you do not do all of that if you are a racist and a white supremacist. You are not going to help black people. You are not going to provide a platform. You are not going to bring a black man on and thank him and tell him how great of a job he's doing and who he is and say, this is a man that's doing great things. A racist and a white supremacist doesn't bring black people. A man from Africa, his family, his father moved here in the 1970s, I believe it was. He is a Nigerian. He is, his name, he said he's from the Igbo, I believe it's called, and Amanchukwu means I know God. I mean, he knows all about, and this is a big man. I'm going to show you some clips here in a minute. And if he is saying to us and knows him personally and worked with him at TPUSA, I think it's something that we can give credence to. It's something that we can look at. Did Charlie Kirk challenge things? In my opinion, was Charlie Kirk sometimes? I mean, he was, I call myself a pretty hard preacher, but he was straight out the gut. He told you exactly how it was. And I don't have any problem with that, but I understand where not having that type of filter, it can come across a certain way. But I believe at the core, looking at these definitions and understanding it and being a man that has been discriminated against, being a man that has dealt with racism, being in those situations. I've had situations and know my friends that have dealt with cops and things like. You're not looking at somebody that hasn't dealt with these things even growing up as a child. I have dealt with those things. I can tell you situations about my brothers and I and things that we went through. I mean, I know what racism looks like. Trust me, I know it very, very well. Even though I might be mixed, it doesn't matter. They look at you, they still see black. I've had people come up to me and they'd say things back in the day. They was hoping that I was Italian because they didn't want me to be black. And they would say, oh, he's Italian, right? You know, because they didn't want me to be black. They didn't want any blackness in me. I remember dating people and if I dated them and they would want to know that because they didn't want me to be black. And then they would tell me, my dad doesn't like black people. I have seen it. I know what that looks like, even if it's covert. I have seen it. And so I'm saying to you in all of this to look at things and go and do your own research. If you still feel he is, then that's totally up to you. But I wanted to show you some things here. I want to show you a couple of clips here that I want you to take a peek at. So let's take a look at the first one here. And let's just hear a little bit of what Pastor John says and how Charlie provides a platform for him. Let's play the first one. We got it here. We have technical difficulties. Can you press play on that? Well, I'm going to keep a lookout that they can bring it up because I think it's very important, though. Hopefully this clip will come up for us. Are we good to go? There we go. All right.
In some kind of trouble, right? And it's such a great honor. Our guest tonight, master's degree from Liberty University in Christian ministry. He played football. You're able to tell as soon as he gets up on stage. He's been a pastor for 15 years. He's unafraid to talk about how the left talks a good game on Black lives, but does nothing about it. He's unafraid to talk about God's truth for us, what we could do about it. It's such an amazing honor to be able to have him tonight as we get back into gear here at Freedom Night in America. Please join me in welcoming Pastor John Amanchukwu. And I think I said that right. Did I do good? Give it up. You okay?
Oh, no. We don't want any ads. Get us out of there. I am sorry about that.
Thank you. Can we get one more mic? Okay. Yeah, no, you're okay. Thank you, everybody. So we're going to play back and forth with the mic now. So, Pastor John, it's actually right here. Thank you guys so much. Pastor John, welcome to Phoenix.
Thank you for having me.
You came here in the cool season. So now I know why you're all here tonight. Air conditioning. I get it, right? It's the only reason why you would be here tonight.
Right.
Pastor John, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your walk with the Lord and the work you do.
Yes, so my name is John Amanchukwu, and I'm blessed to have my wife with me here today. Come on, Crystal, just stand up. I'm a man married to a woman, and I celebrate that. Amen. We have 3 wonderful children, 12, 11, and 5. We've been married going on now 15 years. Another big hand clap goes there. And so I'm just a country preacher from Raleigh, North Carolina that believes in God's truth, and I'm not afraid to stand up for biblical truth and biblical authority. I'm a pastor who's a true watchman and not a wimp, and I'm not afraid to speak truth to power and to push back against the god-awful ideologies that have been pushed down our children's throats, but also upon the Black community. You know, I want to say something tonight, and I want you to hear me clearly.
So pause it right there, Brad. Listen, now this is a white supremacist and a racist that allows him to come on and says, especially the ideologies that have been pushed into the Black community. Now, if you listen to the rest of this interview, you'll hear him go into abortion and talk about how abortions were affecting Black people and how Black people need to stand up. And now a white supremacist and a racist is not going to allow a Black man to come on and promote that and preach that to all the people that were in his audience during those things. I want to take a minute now. I want you to go to the next clip, Mr. Producer, and get that ready, Brad, and bring that up in just a moment. But, you know, that's the first clip. I've got a couple other clips I want to show you here. And this is the thing. Sometimes what people will do is people will just throw things out there and people don't do their research. They don't look to see what's really happening, what's going on. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, it's so important that whether it's dealing with media or things on YouTube, Facebook, you've got to do your own research, you know, and that's the reason why I wanted to take a minute here because, you know, if he is a racist, let's call it what it is. But it's another thing, though, to listen to these things and watch these things and then to determine, is this person really racist or not? So that's why I wanted to take a look at this. So we're going to bring up the next clip here and take a peek at that. Whenever you're ready, Brad, go ahead and play it.
The Bible says, allow your money to perish with you. So if you want to pull your money out of a local church because the pastor is preaching goodbye and let your money perish with you, but you should expect your preacher to speak to these issues, and it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Just preach the Bible.
Amen. So let's talk about the Black community.
Yes.
This is something that I think really is confusing to a lot of people. The Black community is actually more socially conservative.
Correct.
In a lot of different ways than white liberals, especially in California or New York. Why is it that the Black community, being more socially conservative, not on board for this transgender stuff, they polls show that they actually the least approving of it.
Sure.
Why is it then that Black pastors or Black leaders then tend to tilt with the political left?
Yeah. And you know, Charlie, if I knew the true answer to that question, I might be a rich man.
Okay.
All right. But I'm glad you asked a Black pastor.
Well, we can explore it together.
But here's the reality. Consider Reverend Jesse Jackson, who coined the term Black genocide. who once preached against abortion. But when it was time for him to run for office, he sold his community down a river and would not touch the issue anymore. Consider Barack Hussein Obama, the first black president who had a chance to right some wrongs and do some true work. What did he do? The majority of his support went towards two groups: Planned Parenthood and the LGBT community. We have blown so many opportunities. The issue is this: many in my community happen to be low information voters, and they're getting their information from the wrong people. You should expect to go to church and to hear the truth about these issues, but the pastors are woke, and the pastors are preaching woke sermons. So therefore, you have a woke pew, right? If the pulpit is woke, then the parishioners are going to be woke. But many blacks, they don't espouse to these things, but they oftentimes vote one way and pray another. But guess what? There's good news. There is a remnant. There are a group of blacks in this country who believe in black excellence, who believe in the two-parent family home, both
Amen.
sexes. There is a group of minorities in this country who are rising up, who supported Donald Trump overwhelmingly, right? You saw something change there. I believe that there is a remnant coming, and all we need to do is continue to sound the alarm, keep the message out there before the masses, create opportunities for black voices to speak nationally, and we will turn this nation in the right direction in the black community.
Okay, stop it there.
This is such an
Stop
important
there.
point.
So think about it. You're talking about a white supremacist and a racist clapping his hands, putting his hand on there saying amen to a man that's saying, preaching black excellence, preaching black pastors rising up, preaching. How many white supremacists do you know that do that? How many racists do you know that are going to say, he's preaching about black people, that I'm a black man here. I believe in the black family. I believe in a two-parent home. I believe in black excellence. I mean, he's preaching all black. And then the end of it, Charlie Kirk is clapped. I mean, how is that a white supremacist or racist? So that's some things I want you to look at. Now, there's one more clip I want to show you here. There are some young girls that come on and how, because they were linked up with TPUSA, are dealing with racism. Now, mind you, Pastor John Amanchukwu, you hear him talking about all of these things that he's standing up for, how he's walking, standing up for black people. He's mentioned it several times. That's why he brought him on there, was to help black Americans and let a black voice be on. He's saying, we're looking for more people to raise up black voices, to speak truth to power. A white supremacist and a racist is not going to do that, because even if they don't like Donald Trump, even if they don't like him, they're not going to let a black person speak to a white man. It's not going to happen, because they're a white supremacist and a racist. And so therefore they are a lower class of people. So just something to think about. Now, Brad, let's cue this last one here, and let's talk about this as well.
But I do not think we should in any way, shape, or form retreat from trying to care about our public schools. There are fellow citizens and our fellow countrymen that need us. You might be able to get your kids out, but those are future voters.
I agree.
Those are future leaders, and we still need to be able to influence them. God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Man.
Hi, I'm Braylon. I'm the president of the Turning Point USA chapter at Liberty High School.
Awesome.
I am Danielle. I'm the vice president. And last school year, we ran into a lot of issues not being able to have meetings due to people thinking that our club was racist and that we had a lot of racist point of views. And it ran into us not being able to have any meetings at all the whole school year. And our teacher rep was so scared that he wouldn't let us have any meetings at all.
Wow.
And we did donuts, Red Bull, like stuff fun to bring people in. And he was against that because he didn't want to bring too many people in that weren't there for the right reasons. So we just want to know, we would love to continue it next school year, but we have a lot of issues with not having meetings. So we want to know how we can avoid that.
What school again?
Liberty High School.
In Peoria. Is that a public school? It's a public school. Okay. So, John, can you help with this, though? This is important for these young ladies. By the way, give it up for them running a Turning Point USA chapter. How great is that? is this is something that maybe you're just going to tell us to get over it or snap out of it. But this is an important point, though, which is a lot of young conservatives or conservatives all ages, they kind of get in a place of paralysis as soon as they're called a racist, regardless of the lack of accusation. And so many times people say, Charlie, Turning Point's racist. Why? Well, I don't know. I read it online. It's like, oh, so you're going to call me the worst thing you could call somebody with zero evidence supporting it. What's your advice to young people or all people? How do you deal with that when someone calls you the R word?
Yeah. Well, I've never been called racist myself. And I'm not racist, right? And I don't tolerate racist talk around me. It all starts there. Racism, by and large, is something that is taught, right? If you live in a home where parents are pushing those ideologies, it's going to creep into the hearts and the minds of the children. But if you all are out there trying to do a noble work for a noble cause, let those labels roll off of you like water down a duck's back, right? Don't allow those things to paralyze you or cripple you from the work that you're doing. The left, those who are woke, are always going to label you, right? So you have to become accustomed with being labeled, okay? But continue the work that you are doing because they want to throw you off. And if they can stop you with the R word, then you won't go forward. Keep fighting, keep standing, and know why you're doing what you're doing, and continue to love everyone.
And let me add one more thing, which is kind of, what do I do? You got to be relentless, right? And so life is a series of questions you ask yourself.
Right.
So you can ask yourself the question, why is this so hard? Why me? Or you could say, what is great about this problem? What am I going to learn from this? How am I going to enjoy the process? What am I willing to do? These are questions you can ask yourself about that. Say, so what would possibly be great about a problem of being called a racist and a teacher not wanting to, associate with you? Well, you got to be more creative, right? You could put the teachers on defense and say, will anybody possibly associate with our club? Now, here's the other thing, though. You're high school 16, 17, 18, right? You're going to be tougher and stronger and a better leader in life because you have to deal with the nonsense of being stereotyped and called names where all of your peers get everything easy. You are now being put in a situation that will make you a tougher leader for the rest of your life. That's what's awesome about that kind of a problem, right? And so, no easy way, but parents in the local area are going to help you, right? See those hands right there? Then ready to help you. That's what the beauty of Freedom Night in America. And finally, you have the backing of the largest conservative organization in America, Turning Point USA. We're not going to let them win. We're going to make sure that you guys are able to get the club, get the approval, and not be called those terrible names. God bless you. We love our high school chapters. We love it. Thanks for being here.
All right, that's good. Thanks so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, I know some people aren't going to agree with what we're doing here, but I've been a preacher for 30 years, and I've dealt with all sorts of people that feel certain ways and certain things. But that's why I need to have a voice here and to stand up for what I believe. And being a black man, I can speak to racism. Like I said, I've encountered it. I've experienced it. And what I'm seeing there is not racist. Now, I understand he says a lot of controversial things, and a lot of people have different things with DEI and a lot of stuff like that. I've already shared with you some of my stances concerning it. I am all for black empowerment, black people getting opportunities, women getting opportunities, all of those types of things. I think that's very, very important. But I don't believe that should be the number one qualification is your skin color. And when you do that, it raises question as to why somebody is in that position. Are they in there because they're qualified, or are they in there because they're their skin color? And I understand a lot of people say, yeah, but how do you deal with that? Because that's the reality, though, because now people won't get opportunities. And I see one person put a comment in there. They wouldn't have had an opportunity if there wouldn't have been DEI. Well, we're still dealing with racism because no matter how you look at it, the racism isn't going to go away just because you give somebody a job. And that's why I'm saying DEI will never solve that. It may give people an opportunity, but it's never going to solve it. And then what happens if somebody does get hired because of only their skin tone? And then what happens now? Now you have Asians that say, I should be able to get in. Hispanics need to get in. It never ends. What has to happen is you have to deal with every circumstance as it comes. It's just that simple. You got to deal with it as it comes. And like I said, if you've ever dealt with racism, you got to take it. You got to go and deal with that and fight for what you believe is right. But you can't legislate sin. You can't legislate racism. You can't legislate gun control. A lot of people have an issue with gun control, and I'm all for people having guns there. But you can put laws in there, but that's not going to stop the sin. It's not going to stop the murder. It's not going to stop that. The only thing that can change it is getting the gospel of Jesus Christ into the heart of people. And even if you feel that Charlie Kirk was a racist, the only thing that could save anybody that's a racist is getting the gospel into them, because there's so much hatred in their heart towards a specific race or towards a specific people or towards women or whatever it is. The only thing that can change them, you can put all the laws you want in place, but the reality is it's never going to change until the gospel gets into the hearts of people. Racism we're always going to have with us. The poor we're always going to have with us. Even the Jewish people that are being discriminated against right now, that is something that you're always going to have, because there's always going to be sin in the world. So unfortunately, it's going to be there. And people say, well, what's the answer? You can't legislate it. You can legislate all you want. People are still going to do what they're going to do. But the only thing we can do is hopefully a prayer that God will get the gospel into the hearts of people. And that's why people that are celebrating his death, rejoicing over his death, it's really sad to see that, because the reality is what we need to have is be a people that have compassion in our hearts. I don't care. I've had people that were racist that died, but I'm not rejoicing and throwing a party because they're dead. You know what I mean? And the children, what about their children? Even having a heart for their kids, having a heart for his wife, having a heart for the people that are affected by that. People just don't even think about that. And so that's where I think with the mayor or the governor of Utah, he talked about how he said, you got to go find that angel within you and ask God to resurrect that thing within you, resurrect a good heart within you. So it's very, very important, ladies and gentlemen, that we don't celebrate that death. I've been spending this whole week talking about it. And like I said, I figure I'm going to give my spiel on it, because as a black man that's encountered racism, I totally understand what that looks like. And I know some people may or may not agree, but that's what makes America great, right? We all have the opportunity to be able to share what's in our hearts. And I wanted to show you some things here that white supremacists and racist people, they are not going to do. They're not going to bring black men on there, celebrate them, give them a platform, all of those types of things, stand up for abortion. And if you understand where abortion comes from, Margaret Sanger, it's intended for black people. If you are a white supremacist and a racist, you want abortion. You name, and I would challenge anybody to name an abortion facility in white neighborhoods. Find a white suburban neighborhood and then tell me where there's an abortion clinic there. They're always planted near black neighborhoods. The purpose of Planned Parenthood, the purpose of abortionists, the purpose is to destroy and annihilate the white or the black race. Go back and do your research. Study Margaret Sanger. And if you have a white man that's trying to abolish abortion, they are going to have a revelation and understand it is meant to destroy black people and to encourage black people to not abort their babies, to be fathers, to be mothers, and to stand for life. So I hope that you all have been blessed today by this. And I'm going to be back tomorrow talking a little bit more to wrap up the week and share with you a little bit more of what God has been putting into my heart. So be encouraged. Know that I love you. Praying for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and share. Don't forget as well, ladies and gentlemen, to download the podcast. Get it while it's hot. We'll be uploading this right afterwards as well. Check it out. Do your own research. Go look at some videos. And I encourage you, if you've got a video you want me to speak to, DM me, drop it in my inbox. Let me see where the racist comments were and let me take a peek. And if there's something that I need to take a look at, I definitely will, but you're not going to find it. That's not a racist man. It was a man that was a realist, standing up for righteousness, preaching the gospel in a very blunt and real way. So God bless you, and I'll see you next time right here on Dimensions.